Okay, inshallah. We gave a few minutes, inshallah, and then we could begin. If they come now, maybe they could catch up if they come within the next few minutes, inshallah. But since it's like 5 minutes after the time, it's good we probably start. Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen. Wa sallallahu ala Sayyidina Muhammadin wa alihi tahirin. Okay, so in the last lesson, I start talking about the teleological argument or Burhani Nizam, that the universe has pattern. So there's a couple different kind of approaches from aspects about the maybe proof of the system or the proof of the design. So a second one, and we're approaching that claim because their claim was that there is no argument that proves the existence of Allah. Well, we're gonna pile them on you and see, is there an argument or not. So this is one of the logical ways if you want to prove something. Well, all the different possibilities that they have, and then now, okay, the opposite is true. Well, they say there's no arguments to prove the existence of Allah, but there is arguments that prove the existence of Allah. Therefore, there are arguments that prove the existence of Allah, and their claim is false. So the next one is from the aspect or the aim of purpose and aim, aim of those created things. So the universe and the world are designed. They're in a pattern, an organization, a design in such a manner that its parts function in the way that they have purpose and aim. All the things around us, they function in a way in which they have an actual purpose to them. They're not aimless. Sometimes maybe we think some things are aimless, but that's only because we are ignorant of their aim. We don't know about their aim. Maybe one day we learn about it. We don't know about their purpose. Maybe one day we discover it. Science is a developing thing. It doesn't know everything. So to say that just because science doesn't know why this plant is here or why this animal is here, that's kind of that's a very faulty argument, because science doesn't have comprehensive knowledge of everything to say. They're still developing. Maybe 100 years from now they discover something. Maybe next day they discover something. So um so the world and its parts, they have a purpose and aim to them, and we can see that in many different instances. As an example, the whole process of the formation of a baby in the womb, the whole process of the formation of a child, or the rain which comes down and the foods grow from it, or the food which has a purpose of nutrients and feeding. All these things have purpose and aim. However, we may not know the purpose of everything. But that is because we, the creation, are limited in our understanding. Or we are limited in our understanding of all things. All creation, they are limited. They're limited in their functions. They're limited in their capacities. They are limited in what they know. They don't know everything, and they cannot do everything. Allah is the only one that can do anything that He wills, and is the only one who knows everything. Creation are very limited. They're dependent. Yes, some creation know more than others. Some creation have more function given to them that Allah's willed for them. They're able to do, a falling of a rock on somebody is a lot more maybe than a punch, because Allah's put more pressure or more solidness to its structure. So this is how Allah's willed it. But these things are all still limited. They're still limited. So all creation are limited in their understanding of things. We don't know everything. The only one who really knows everything is Allah the Exalted. Therefore, the observed purpose and aim of creation that we can notice in the creation unveils to us the fact that there has to be a designer who is wise and aware. Because if things happen by chance and coincidence, how would all this purpose come about? How would all this design come about? This designer must be wise and aware for this purpose to occur. A coincidence or chance is like you take a stack of papers numbered 1 to 100 and you throw it in a dark room up in the air and you expect it to fall back in order from 1 to 100 all in the same way. That's what chance would be. That's very, very impossible, very mathematically absurd to assume that that could happen. And that's happening all over the universe in every different thing. So many different places. Everything is like this. Everything is falling into place and with purpose and with aim and with design. Anyways, therefore, the observed purpose and aim of creation unveils to us the fact that there has to be a designer. There has to be a designer, and that designer must be wise and aware to be able to bestow all this purpose on things that we notice, to give purpose and aim to all these things that we notice. So as so much purpose cannot happen by chance. So this purpose and aim that we see in all this creation cannot just happen by chance, by coincidence. Like I said, that's kind of absurd. And we'll, inshallah, if I remember to put it in, we'll bring a special section on chance and coincidence, and we'll show you how that's, absurd claim. So the third aspect is that we could look at is the mathematical aspects of things on Earth. The mathematical aspects of things. When we observe the observable things here on this earth, by the way, mathematics is something that occurs in the mind. We see things that we count outside, but inside the mind is where the math is happening. What is 1, 2, 3, 4, all this outside? They're just individual things. The mathematical concepts, these are mental concepts. They're in the mind, right? So this is a pattern which is not necessarily seeing something in the sensible world. This is something that is occurring in the mind. You can maybe start counting your thoughts. Yeah, kind of, maybe you could use that term. Yeah. But we have in philosophy, we have dhinni world, alam dhinni, the mental world or subjective world, and then we have alam kharaji, the external world, or they say in concreto, I think Latin or Greek in concreto. And so you have these two different worlds going on, and you have a mental world and an external world and everything outside of your mind. So yeah, these things exist in the mind, right? They're not something that, so if someone comes and claims, well, this argument of design, it's only talking about things that, yeah, it's a quite interesting topic. And actually Muslim philosophers have established this one a lot and delved into this one. This was something that came along with Muslim philosophy. But anyway, so you have these things inside the mind. So if someone claims that, well, okay, you just have this argument design, it's only things outside the mind and it's just, artifacts that you see outside. Well, no, inside the mind, you have things as well. You have things which are, non-tangible things that we're applying outside happening in the mind where we see pattern in them as well. Like I said, you can even count your own thoughts, but the mind, the thoughts, the psychological states, all these things have pattern to them. It's quite a complex system. So anyway, when we observe the observable things here on this earth, we may realize that there are conditions for all these natural occurrences. These natural occurrences are acting within the conditions and framework of certain calculations. They have certain measurements to them, certain percentages to them, certain equations to them. Only Allah knows all the secrets of everything. So how can such a thing happen by mere chance? How could such a thing happen by accident? And I mean accident in the Orphy way, just completely by chance or coincidence. So here there has to be a designer, an organizer. Oh, I'll just check your theoretical. So theoretical means things related to the kind of um, theoretical aspect of intellect. So in Muslim philosophy, I say Muslim philosophy because some people they say Islamic philosophy, and some I choose Muslim philosophy. Not everything is necessarily Islamic. Like we have to be a little careful. Many good things, though, but sometimes we got to check it with Quran and check it with Hadith because the alobate they refinement to our akal. So maybe people, if they neglect that, they'll get possibilities and such. Anyway, so and possibilities that may not be. So, but anyway, so you have this in Muslim philosophy. We have akal al-nadhari and akal al-amali. So you have theoretical intellect and practical intellect. So they're talking about the same mind, but they gather these things that are related to practical aspects of people to and things within theory. So in theoretical intellectual thought, you have things like physics, you have things like mathematics and metaphysics. Metaphysics, study of being qua being, as your philosophy, right? So that's what they call first philosophy nowadays. So theoretical is kind of like these things related to in the mind. Maybe not necessarily how to use the word theory, right? So let me finish your comment here. Yeah, yeah. So in concreto, concrete probably comes from that word. Yeah, it's probably derived. I would think so. I'd assume that it would be. Um, yeah, many things though, many things. Like sometimes nowadays we have philosophical thoughts, and some of our scholars may hold certain philosophical opinions, and then other scholars may turn back and say, "Look, there's hadith here that say something different," and this is kind of an issue. Is something I've personally found, in an issue myself. But so it's very important to never lower the status of the Ahlul Bayt and the Wahi. These things don't disagree. Akhl may reach places where it has possibilities. Both possibilities are fine, but which one is right? Well, if we have a text about it, okay, that's right. Example is the oxygen level in the earth. The oxygen level in the earth. When we look at the oxygen level in the earth, if we had too much oxygen, what would happen? Well, like if a person's position goes to their head, maybe they get toxic. So if oxygen level in the earth, if we had too much oxygen, it would lead to oxygen toxicity, which would cause a rampant harmful oxidation in cells and lead to exhaustion and death. So this is an example of how there's mathematical equations, very fine-tuned mathematical equations in the universe. Otherwise, we'd be in a terrible situation. And if we had too little oxygen, some animals will suffocate and eventually die. And this is just like lightly, because if you look into the science of it, it could probably have tremendous effects just adjusting it a little bit the wrong way. The ecosystem would become disrupted. If the sun affects us too much, then the earth will bleed dry water. If no heat, so the earth would dry up, If no heat from the sun, the earth would freeze. Now these matters, so the earth would freeze. So how can such, with all these matters considered, how can such a meticulous system, so detailed and mathematical, be produced by a mistake, an accident, just poof out of nowhere without anybody causing it, without anybody calculating it and willing it? Yeah, so it's very, well-tuned system. The mere fact that we're here is proof of that. And we should be careful not to destroy that. So
Yeah.
doesn't this
I have a
indicate? Yeah, go ahead.
yeah, I have a question about this one.
Sure.
So if we take the example of the Earth, so like in response to that, can we not say that that the universe is so wide and there's so many different planets that eventually, just out of pure chance, we would have to have one that is suitable for that has like suitable living conditions, just because of
Well,
how many planets there
I
are.
think I think that the possibility of there being many more that would be suitable is also possible, right?
Hmm.
So then how could we say that all this possibility now is going to add up to many different possible habitats? But
Hmm.
regardless is when we look at this system being so detailed and having all this fine meticulous detail, how could all that, even if we were just to focus on planet, this one planet, even out of the
Hmm.
vastness of the universe, we don't even hardly know what's out there, by the way. But how could this be
Yeah.
so detailed that it could just happen by coincidence? It's like finding a perfect
Oh,
masterpiece, you know? And someone had to paint it. How could it not be, right? Do you see? Does that make sense?
yeah. Do you mean like so like the other day we were watching we were in biology in science
Okay.
class. In biology we were talking about I think we were talking about plant cells and whatnot. But our teacher showed us a video of like how plants and like how flowers and bees interact. And
Mhm.
so essentially the flowers they'll kind of change. Forgot what they'll change, but there's like a signal that'll change in the plant in the flower, so that the bee knows not to go to it anymore. Like the signal changes
Mhm.
after the after like another bee went to it, and then
Uh-huh.
eventually the signal will change back to signal to other bees to come to it.
Uh-huh.
Just kind of to continue on like
Wow.
pollination and whatnot. So
Wow.
do you mean like that kind of how they're all like
Yeah,
everything's
yeah.
kind of intertwined?
Yeah, everything's intertwined, interconnected. It's got purpose, it's got aim, it's functioning. Like how can that just happen by chance?
Hmm.
Like I said, I'll bring mathematical about why chance is impossible, but you can imagine like throwing that paper up, in the air, numbered 1 to 100, and expecting it all to come back in order in a dark room. It's maybe you can even add to that. Say now you throw that up in a dark room and you send in a person who's blind and have them rearrange it. That's chance. One out of a million or whatever, or trillions. Some people they did the math on this. It's like so many trillions or something like that.
Hmm.
Possibility. So it's very small possibility, but yet we have this all situated here, so vast that humans are researching it for hundreds of years here, thousands of years looking into the earth and trying to discover things just about the earth, let alone the human soul, the human mind, the human body, the animal bodies, everything else. So that's quite complicated and detailed. How could that happen by just mere chance, right? And also, the possibility doesn't disprove that there was a creator, anyways, right? Because the mere fact of it being possible means that it would need something to uh, cause it to be, which we'll talk about, inshallah, in a little bit when we get to arguments that talk about contingency. Have you heard the word contingency before?
Contingency. I've heard it. I don't remember. Like I think it was in the context of like a contingent being and then a necessary being
Okay.
or something
Yeah.
along those
So
lines.
so we have this contingent beings. Contingent beings, they are something that's possible to exist, right? And they need something. When something's possible, doesn't necessarily exist by itself. And it's not impossible to exist by itself. So it's only possible to exist. So when we have something like that existing, it needs something to cause it to exist. What do you think about that? Does that make sense?
Yeah, that makes sense. Because
Yeah. So
yeah,
so
yeah.
so them saying the possibility, right? If someone says the possibility of it, okay, so what? There's a possibility, of course, it's possible. But I think it's quite different in detail than that, though. But anyways, I'll try to finish this slide here, inshallah. And is that okay, or any more questions on it?
No, inshallah, it's good.
Okay, good. So this vast universe is so meticulous, so well designed, so detailed of a system. Can that be produced by accident, by mere chance? Doesn't this indicate a designer, a creator? Again, I had the error in the slide. I shouldn't proofread these. a creator who is all-knowing and all-wise. So the mere fact that we had uh, all this, uh, all this in the creation indicates there must have been a creator, a designer. I'll try to finish this slide too, inshallah, because then we could go to the kind of uh, objections in the next lesson, inshallah, by some objections by Hume. So the universe has order and design. So what is meant by order and design is a relationship between two things or more. Hence, there is a relationship between things that is established amongst the parts of the universe and the members of an entity. Such a system and pattern is also inseparable from the principle of causality, which we will discuss later, inshallah. But briefly, whensoever there is a system, there is a cause and effect system occurring. Hence, when we see the relationship between wind, clouds, rain, and the air, and the order that occurs between these things, this shows us that there is an interrelation between these things. Yes, we may not know the secrets of the universe, but we know some things about the universe. In fact, there are many things we may not know, we don't know. We can observe from all the above that there is an existing order, and that is the point of bringing this. We want to say that there is an existing order and a design in the universe, and such an order and a design indicates that there has to be a designer. That designer, I will say, is all-wise and all-powerful creator to be able to design such a thing, and all-knowing. So that is everything for this section. Inshallah, we will move to the kind of some of the objections, not all of them, made by Hume in the next lesson. Do you have any questions on this?
I don't think so. I think it's good.
Okay,
Barakallah fikum, Shaykh.
Wafika. It all made sense. Everything was good.
Yeah, it was good.
Okay, good. Alhamdulillah. So, well, after Duwana and Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen, then I guess I could let you go a few